Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show. Checking the post, Husker Nation, brought to you by DPS Concrete Construction. Check them out at dpsconstruction.net, also carrikerchronicles.com. I got a phenomenal guest with me today. I'm pretty excited, but before we bring Eric Crouch on, if you believe that Nebraska, is not going to pull a Notre Dame this Saturday, and they're going to end up 3-0 after the Northern Iowa game, smash that like button. Also, if you're enjoying a lot of the fun interviews like this that we're doing here on the Carriker Chronicles, got more planned for the future, hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you don't miss them. But it's time to bring on our guest. He's a former Heisman Trophy winner, although once a Heisman Trophy winner, always a Heisman Trophy winner, Mr. Eric Crouch. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate you asking me to come on your show.
Dude, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're at a trade show. You hopped in your pickup so you could take the time, so I appreciate it.
You bet.
But Nebraska football, dude, it's been too long since there's been this type of excitement, but legit optimism. So I'm curious, from your perspective, from year one under Matt Rhule to year two, there's obvious vast improvement. What are the areas that you see the biggest areas of improvement in?
Well, for me, it's just a team chemistry, playing together and not being selfish. I think we're seeing a team that's starting to come together and gel as a team, and that's how you win at football. It's not an individual sport. It's about playing with each other and having your role within your team. And so I'm seeing that come out a lot more. The bigger plays, we're seeing bigger plays. I think that's huge. You're not going to be able to go down the stretch in the Big Ten if you can't make big plays and come up with turnovers on defense like we saw early in that game. So those are drastic improvements in my opinion.
Talk to me about Dylan Raiola. A lot of hype, highly recruited, 5-star legacy player, but you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
When the games become real, and then you got a big rivalry game in an environment that Memorial Stadium hadn't seen in quite a while, and I want to see more often. But he's played well so far. What are your thoughts on Dylan Raiola's play so far, and why do you think he's taken care of the ball and played so well early on in the season?
Well, I mean, he's cool. I mean, he's just calm and cool, and I think that being unflappable at that quarterback position is important. Being able to make those decisions, quick decisions, and believe in yourself, and know that if you do make a mistake, which you're going to, that's just part of the game. To be able to block that out and get to the next play, and I can already see kind of his wheels turning for not just a play that he's in, but like the next, getting ready for that next play and just leading his team down the field. And, that's a big quality in a quarterback. And I see that out of him. I mean, he's got a huge arm, he's a very talented player. And I think it's going to be just exciting to watch this team kind of rally around him as the year goes on, and just watch a young quarterback kind of turn into, I don't know, it's almost like turn into a pro quarterback at the college level these days. So, just with the poise and, that leadership skill, that's big. And so I'm excited about the future, and I'm loving watching. I sent him a text. I mean, I love watching you play. I just said, this is fun. So I'm enjoying it.
That's awesome. All right. You and I played on Husker teams that played Colorado every year. Okay. Our games were always on Black Friday. I think yours were as well versus Colorado. We don't get to play them every year anymore. And frankly, I'm okay with that, but it is kind of a rival sort of, I still call him the little brother just to piss him off. And I kind of believe it. But the win on Saturday over Colorado in Memorial Stadium with that environment. Okay, what are your thoughts on the momentum and how big that win was for Husker football?
Well, I mean, it's been several years. It seems like we're always, coming up short in the bigger games early in the season, and it kind of just sets the tone. And so I'm just like kind of everybody else feels. I just felt happy. Like you wake up the day. I was just like, man, I feel kind of happy right now.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining or saying things about, what did better here. Why did this happen? It's kind of like, I'm just okay with this. Is great. Like, I'm go about my day, man. This is awesome. Like this is what I'm used to, but it's been a while, and it's great momentum. It doesn't mean an undefeated season in our national championship. It doesn't mean that, But what it does mean is that we're starting to see some change in, the way that we play defense, the way that we make big plays on offense. I'm just excited that I know there's a lot of energy built up after winning this game. I know we're only 2-0. It's early in the season, but you just feel a little bit different behind the staff and the players right now. And it's an exciting time. I hope that this continues to move forward in this direction. And it's really good for college football when Nebraska's playing well.
I 100%, in my 1000% biased opinion, agree with you. I'm going to ask you this one question. Do with it what you will. But I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, especially where you talked about the team aspect of what Matt Rhule's building here at Nebraska and how that's carrying over into the program being built the right way and ultimately better success now and going forward. After the game Saturday, Shedeur Sanders leaves the field. Well, he left the field 2 minutes early, but then after the game, he basically threw his O-line under the bus. So I'm kind of curious, your thoughts, your reaction as a former quarterback when a quarterback does something like that.
Yeah, I mean, my initial reaction is like, those guys got a block for you next week. But it's a leadership moment too. To sometimes being called out is a good thing, because, hey, this is a part of the game we need to improve. And obviously their offensive line didn't, they lost that battle, on Saturday. They lost that battle. So, but to make it a public thing, that's just that's just their way of doing it. That's just his way of doing it. I think, Coach Sanders does the same thing. So it's like, to me, I'm probably more taking the blame, for like a team approach than anything. But, I never want to, probably throw my line under like that. But I kind of understand, you got to make a point. For me, I probably would have done it more at practice or in private or like in the meeting rooms. But hey, everybody's different. You got your own way of doing things. So hopefully it's effective for them.
All right, man. So you've referenced bigger plays, whether it be on defense, but particularly on offense early on so far this year. And Nebraska, throughout their first two games so far early on in the season, averaging over 400 yards of offense a game, much improved over last year. What do you attribute specifically on offense, the improvement to and the improvement in big plays?
The running game. I think any time that you can, control the line of scrimmage and run the football, you pretty much should be able to do it what you want with the football in terms of throwing it and passing it. That's huge. And honestly, from just the history of Nebraska, I love seeing a running game and being physical. And I know that that's one of the team's goals is to be the most physical team out there. So when you start talking about that type of a mentality, then the running game's got to come into the picture. So I think when the running game gets going, you got those plays, those opportunities for bigger plays, in the passing game, because they're trying to come up and you start, you're selling yourself just a little bit more to try to stop that run. And then that big pass can open up. So I think that's probably the main contributor in my opinion.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, real quick, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsors, DPS Concrete Construction. If you're in the Omaha metro area, Lincoln, or the state of Nebraska, and you're looking to have concrete and or retaining wall work done, check out dpsconstruction.net. If this is your line of work, Jason Armstrong's a legit good dude. He does a lot of charitable work, foundational work, and he's a great boss. All right, go to dpsconstruction.net. Also, I want to shout out Allen Capital Group. They do my family's finances. They've done it for over 10 years. It's peace of mind to know that I can trust my family's financial future to people that I trust and people who do a great job. All right. Nebraskans at heart. All right. They have offices in Omaha, Grand Island, and Ogallala. You can check them out at their website, allencapgroup.com. That's ALLEN capgroup.com. Allen Capital Group, next level solutions for next level needs. All right, my man, I'm going to ask you a question, and it's a little bit of a setup question because then I'm going to come up with a follow-up question. I'm just going to give you a heads up.
Oh, boy.
Do you believe Nebraska is going to be 4-0 after the Illinois game? Okay, this is way too early on to be talking about this stuff, but it's a show. We have fun. Okay. And if you say yes to that, do you think they'll be 7-0, which Kirk Herbstreit predicted twice on game day last Saturday going into Ohio State?
Oh, wow. With what we saw on Saturday, I'm going to say yes and yes. I agree.
Right. I like it. So the follow-up question is, how, if you're a player, do you avoid the pitfalls of buying into the early excitement of the season?
Yeah.
How do you avoid what happened to Notre Dame last Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, every game is important. I mean, Coach Osborne used to just preach like, one game at a time. This is our next opponent. Let's not look, past them. It's hard. It's hard because you see a team on your schedule and you just think, oh man, that we should be able to take care of that. And you might start looking to that big game at Ohio State. Like, there's so many learning opportunities and football to be played for Nebraska before Ohio State even gets here or we get there. That you shouldn't be looking too far ahead of it. It's watch the film, learn, progress, enjoy practice, as much as possible. I know they're practicing pretty hard. That's how we did it. And practices weren't enjoyable. They were tough.
Yep, I remember.
But it sure made Saturdays a lot easier. I know that.
Yep.
So,
all right, man. Nebraska is ranked for the first time since 2019.
I saw that.
Yep. And this is the highest they've been ranked since 2016. What are your thoughts on the Huskers being ranked 24th and 23rd, respectively, in the two polls at this point in the season?
Well, it's another compliment to their play on Saturday. And I think people are realizing kind of the situation. I think if you put together what they've done, early here this year, what Coach Rhule's building as a program leader. It's still early, but it's just a compliment. It's like one of those things. Wow, like, okay, we can do this. So this is where we're at right now, and we just got to keep building upon this. And again, I don't know about you, but I didn't pay too much attention to the rankings when I was at Nebraska. I mean, I knew where it was, but it was kind of like, okay, that's great. Let's go in this meeting room and get to work. So. It's about putting in that hard work and not stepping off the gas and continuing to, put yourself in a mindset of a winner, not somebody that just feels good that they accomplished something, but that winning attitude, it takes you past that. Like, what can I do now to get better than what I was on Saturday? This last week, you got to continue to grow and not push the pause button on that.
You make a phenomenal point. I learned very early on at Nebraska, you don't pay you respect people's opinions, but you don't pay a whole lot of attention to what's being said outside the football building. Obviously, if it's negative, but even if it's like insanely positive, you don't want to buy into that either. It's the people inside the football building that you pay attention to the most. All right, man, you're from Omaha. You're a Nebraska guy through and through. Last night, the number one player in the state of Nebraska committed to the Huskers. All right, what are your thoughts on Matt Rhule kind of rebuilding that in-state pipeline from Nebraska directly to Lincoln and the Huskers and building that pipeline of recruiting back up?
I think it's huge. It is, I think, the core of Nebraska. There's just, Nebraska's a state with less than 2 million people. There is no, true professional when it comes to, the NFL or NBA or it's just Nebraska football kind of is the thing. Mm-hmm. And I think there's been a loss in the connection between, just that average kid that's not even a sports fan, like you think that they should be wearing like maybe a Husker shirt on a Friday, to school, but they're wearing other shirts. Maybe they're not even thinking about football right now, but this gets into a deeper conversation, but it's so important to get the best players in Nebraska to stay. It's so important. I don't like seeing us lose players to Iowa or Notre Dame or anywhere. The best players for us should be staying in Nebraska and being part of the tradition of the Nebraska football program and helping our program win football games. And I know it's not always the case. You're going to lose sometimes, but the effort and the consistency and rebuilding that pipeline of these high school kids coming into Nebraska, I think is real important. It's going to be harder now that these walk-on programs and these scholarships and everything's kind of changing on the landscape of college football. But I think more important than ever now, you're not going to get that kid that, will walk on because there's not 100 walk-ons anymore. You've got to really get after and recruit. And I respect Coach Rhule's staff. I mean, those guys, Coach Foley, all these guys, I mean, they are spending time, showing up to the living rooms and, all these other things that you hear about them. They're committed to recruiting the state of Nebraska, which I think is just awesome.
All right, so Christian Jones, who is the 4-star linebacker from Omaha West Side. I forgot to say his name, but he's the one who just committed last night. All right, last couple of questions for you, my friend. Your playing days at Nebraska, obviously a lot of great moments, big-time highlight type moments. Do you have a favorite game from your playing career?
Wow. It's a loaded question, but, I've had a couple that are kind of right up on the top there. And one of them was a play against Iowa my sophomore year. I wasn't the starting quarterback, but I was just taking some frustration out on the defense. And I wanted the job. I wanted to show my team, like, man, I'm tough enough to win this position, And I know that there's a play of me running this DB over that they show a lot during, especially when we're playing Iowa. So that was one of my favorite moments. And is another one that's right up there is beating Notre Dame in overtime, a classic college football matchup. And we go into South Bend and we were up 21-7, and then they're up 24-21 in overtime. I end up scoring the touchdown in the corner, and it's just fun to say, wow, I was part of that, and to be able to have some great memories. I know I've seen a poster. Someone put this poster down in front of me, and they're like, sign it right there. And they started pointing. They're like, they pointed, and I'm like, what? I thought it was Memorial Stadium, but it was actually South Bend when we played it in 2000. And I'm like, wow, like the fans like showed up in an amazing way. That to think that this poster was Memorial Stadium when it was actually South Bend. I think they're Memorial Stadium too. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
The Big Red takeover that day is still something I remember to this day. When you brought up the Iowa play, I smiled immediately because I literally just watched it on X last night. Like somebody posted it and I watched it. Dude,
it gets posted a lot.
Dude,
I think when Iowa loses or, whenever we're happy, I think it gets posted. That's awesome.
Dude, you destroyed that DB. And to know that you were frustrated and trying to prove that you wanted the job, it makes sense now. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I want to thank Eric for taking the time to join me. As always, check out CarrikerChronicles.com. It's where all your Husker sports hopes and dreams will come true. It's just science. Also, get your merch there. Now, admittedly, my merch is not here yet. I've ordered it. But so this is a shirt that's like 8-9 years old. It's still a great shirt. But you can get a much newer one on the website, Carriker Chronicles.
I'd throw the bones. I only got one arm right now. I'm holding my phone. So there's the one arm bone for you.
I'll send you a shirt if you want. Just send me your address. I'll send it your way. And then just a reminder for all you fine folks, on Wednesday, September 11th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., I will be at Husker Harvest Days, which is just east of Wood River, at the Jacobson Seed Tent from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Wednesday, tomorrow, September 11th. Lot number 15E, where 4th Street and East Avenue come together. Look for the Jacobson Seed Tent. All right, man. I don't often let offensive guys throw the bones, but you and I got a pretty good relationship here. So I'm going to set you up. All right. Are you ready? Yeah. All right. Until next time, Husker Nation, go Big Red. And always remember,
throw the bones.
The one-arm bones. I love it.
The one-arm bone.